Oh my gosh, this is so fun. I haven't done YouTube live on this channel in like forever. I'm Jennifer Priest, and today I'm going to share with you really unpopular opinion. You don't need more stuff in your craft stash. I think it's kind of funny how, like, when I'm doing it on YouTube live, my webcam looks at more, so you can see my Starlink. Whereas when I'm doing this like on Zoom or with another software, it's like more narrowed in. But that's okay. It's super cool. So today I want to talk to you about why you don't need a craft stash. And this is totally an unpopular opinion. And you guys, I got to tell you, I run this Instagram called Best Craft Rooms, and we have like over 100,000, over 110,000 followers on that account. And it's all people that want to know about craft rooms and craft organizing ideas. And I share all these like rooms that have all this stuff in them. And it's super amazing. So, um, one of the things that I hear from those people a lot, and we have a Facebook group as well where people can come, and I'll drop the links for those down here in the comments. Excuse me. One of the things that I hear a lot is I spend too much time organizing and I don't have enough time to craft. And so there's all these things that come up, some kind of common themes that come up within the comments on Best Craft Rooms, in the comments in our Best Craft Rooms Facebook group. So those first comments are on Instagram. So Instagram.com/Best Craft Rooms. We have comments in our Facebook group. I ask questions in there all the time. I also ask questions on the SmartFunDIY Facebook page. And I have a few blog posts about craft hoarding. And there's these common themes among all of those things. One is that um, they have too much stuff and they're spending more time organizing than doing the actual creating and the crafting. And that's why we made a craft room in the first place, right? The other thing that I see a lot is that somebody passed away and then gave them their huge stash of supplies. So now they have double overwhelm, right? So they've got their own stuff, which was already too much. Then they've got all the stuff from their family members, which is way too much. And then I read one person's post just the other day inside of the Best Craft Rooms Facebook group, and she said that she had 3 people pass away and give her all their stuff. And, she couldn't bear to just throw it away. And she wanted to go through it and make sure that things went to the right place. But it literally took her like 7 years. Okay. And so I even in my closet, I still have 2 little tubs of stuff from my grandma when she passed away. And that was like 10 years ago, at least. I can't even remember when she passed away, which is kind of crazy. Oh yeah, this is just kombucha, not anything crazy. All right. So there's these common themes, right? Among all those is just this issue of I'm overwhelmed by how much stuff I have. I want to spend more time creating. So I'm going to explain to you 5 reasons why I think we don't need a craft stash anymore. I have incredibly purged and minimized. You guys, I used to have 500 plus square feet of my house, plus a 3-car garage and a storage unit full of craft supplies. And I think it was like a 10 by 30 or 12 by 30 storage unit, something like that. That was just down the street from my house. I went from all of that to, with it being over a quarter of my home, to a 700 square foot apartment at the beach. I think it was 788 square feet. And I didn't have a craft room anymore. And that I did for about 3 years. And then I moved to this house. And so now I have this room, which is my office, and I have some crafts in here, and that's it. I don't have craft. I used to have craft supplies all over the house and everywhere. And it's really made some incredible changes in my life. So I want to explain why I believe that you don't need to have a craft stash anymore. And then I'll get into some of the things that, and I'll probably link some of this below just in the interest of time, what we could do instead. Okay. So number 1, we spend a ton of money on craft storage tools, supplies, right? Like if we go in, there's like a whole company called The Home Edit, which has a TV show and they have a blog and it's great. And they sell this product at Walmart for you to organize your stuff. There's a whole store called the Container Store that's for organizing your stuff. There's this whole home storage industry. Like, because we have so much stuff, we've created this entire industry to then sell us containers to put all our stuff in. And that to me just is a symptom of this. It's great that we have storage, right? But that to me is a symptom of this larger problem, which is, or a tendency, which is that we have so much stuff that now we have to store it. So we're in this process of kind of like warehousing things And we end up spending a lot of time managing the logistics of all of that. Right. So one, we've got so much stuff that we've created an industry around it. Number two, instead of us being a warehouse for all these supplies, we could just let the companies that sell the supplies be the warehouses, right? Let them subsidize our storage. So what do I mean by that? So I used to say this when I lived in the city, and then I'd have people who are like, "Well, you live in the city and you don't understand what it's like." Well, guess what? I live in the country. Like, I have Starlink, okay? This is like how far out in the country that I am. And I can literally order anything from Amazon or Target or Walmart or Michael's or Hobby Lobby, who I know that everybody loves to hate, or Joanne, right? I can order anything that I need online and it will get here in literally a week. Okay, sometimes it's 2 weeks. Most of the time it's just 1 or 2 days. And you guys, I literally live on a dirt road. I'm looking outside. I have wilderness. Maybe I should flip my webcam and show you, but it doesn't look as awesome through the webcam as it actually does through the windows. So, all that to say, like, I used to think, oh man, well, if people lived in the country, they couldn't get it. So when I lived in Redondo Beach, I could get stuff by like 11 a.m. that day, right? I can't do that here, but I can get it tomorrow, or I can get it in 3 days, or sometimes I can get it in a week, but I'm still going to be able to get it. So by me just ordering what I want to get when I need it, I don't have to spend any time storing it. I'm letting Target and Joanne and all those companies create warehouse space that they're storing the stuff in until I'm ready to use it, right? Instead of me buying it, now I got to buy storage. Now I got to spend time to organize it. Okay. So 2 reasons. One, we've created this whole storage industry because we've been trained to buy stuff and store it, which we don't need to do. Number 2, we can let Amazon warehouse it. We can let Walmart warehouse it for us. Even if you aren't ordering online and you have a local store, like, I could run to my Walmart right here and I can pick up blades for my Cricut, and I can pick up vinyl, and I can pick up all kinds. I have the tiniest Walmart in the world. I can pick up fabric, right? I can pick up stuff that I need. I don't need to save it. Like, I can pick up thread if I'm going to sew something. Okay, so that is 2 of my points. The third point is that we have typically, when we're storing that much stuff, we have more than we can use in a lifetime. And you guys, I'm saying this as somebody that had 96 inches of paper. I'm a scrapbooker, or I was a scrapbooker. I'm retiring from scrapbooking. Paper crafter. I absolutely love paper. And anytime a scrapbook store would be like, "I'm closing," I was like, I'm there. I'm there. How much paper can I buy? I remember this one store, I literally had 2 shopping carts. We took shopping carts from like the Albertsons grocery market that was in the parking lot. And I had shopping carts, 2 shopping carts full of paper. And my husband was like holding the carts while I was running around the store like a crazy, grabbing all this stuff and throwing it in there. I want to say this was like 2009. So anyway, so I had 96 inches of paper. 1 inch of paper is 100 sheets of paper, about, give or take. So 9,600 sheets of paper. So if we do the math on that, I got to figure out how to screen share on YouTube Live, but I'm going to do this on my calculator. Okay, let's say that generously I did each scrapbook page, I did use 10 pieces of paper. Okay, it's like being really generous. Would need to make, oh man, it's all flippy. Okay, anyways, I'd have to make 960 scrapbook pages to use up that much paper, right? I couldn't use up that much paper in a lifetime, right? And so I look at my grandma, right? She had all this fabric and she had it in Rubbermaid tubs and it was all washed and it was labeled. She took her old business cards, which I thought was really smart. She would put like what the fabric was, the washing instructions or care instructions, because once you buy it off of the bolt at the store, it doesn't have that info on it anymore. She'd write it on the back of her old business cards, how big it was. And then she would, after she washed it, and she always washed all her fabric, she would safety pin this little business card to it. Well, when my grandma passed away, so she had tons of these tubs all over her outdoor patio, and it was the entire length of her house, and I think it was like 20 feet deep. It was a huge outdoor patio, and that's where her sewing stuff was. When she passed away, she had all these tubs back there, and I remember my family was like, "We're going to throw it all away. We're just going to donate it or throw it all away." And I was like, "What? No." And so I took all of that. So my grandma had spent all this time organizing and cataloging and doing all of that with this fabric. And once I got it, it was so much overwhelmed because first of all, it was more than she could use, right? She literally passed away. And I'm not trying to be morbid, but she literally passed away and wasn't able to use all of this that she had stashed. So then it comes to me, and now I've got the burden of dealing with it. And so most of us who have been crafting in any amount of time probably have more than we could use in a lifetime. Okay, so why are we spending all this time managing and moving things around that we're never going to get to use, right? It just doesn't make sense. But that's what the craft industry wants us to believe. And you guys, I'm so far out the craft industry now, which is great because I felt like this for a long time and I felt like I couldn't say anything about it. Um, because of backlash or whatever. And there's companies who I love whose products I do have. Like I use Art Bin products to organize. I use dot boxes to organize. And I'm not against organizing, but I'm like, maybe we shouldn't do it as much as we have. Right. And now that I don't have this huge stash, I have so much more freedom. Okay. So number one was we've created a storage industry and we've been trained to buy a bunch of storage for stuff that we purchase, which I think is silly. Number two, let's let the companies be the warehouses for it. Let's let Amazon, Target, whoever we're buying, let's let the Walmart store, let's let your local quilt store be the warehouse for the stuff that you're buying. Because I'm going to tell you, I bet you're going to buy more and you're going to buy it more often if you buy only what you're going to use. And that's a whole nother concept that I'd like to talk about. But anyways, that was number two. Number three, you have more than you can use, most likely, right? And what happens with that is then we pass away and then we give it to our family and now they have to deal with it, right? And they're probably not going to do with it what we would have done with it. So it's just a huge waste. Number four is that we have to spend time organizing. When we have so much stuff, we have to spend time organizing. Now, there is a lady, I can't think of her name. I think it's Debbie. She's in our Best Craft Rooms Facebook group, and she's in the Instagram Best Craft Rooms. I've shared her room quite a few times because it's absolutely gorgeous. She's a card maker. She professionally makes handmade cards, and it's amazing. And she said that she basically spends more time organizing than creating. Right. And her room looks like a showroom and everybody's like, oh, I'm so jealous. And it's great. I love her room. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's a really inspiring space. At the same time, like all of us could see that we all would like to have more time for creating, right? So if we have this much time in a day and we spend this much of it organizing, we only have like a little bit for creating. Whereas if we take away the stash, we can get rid of all the organizing time or a great deal of it. Maybe it's like this, a very little much. And we have all this time for creating. And that's where we want to flip, right? We only have 24 hours in the day. Having a huge stash, all that organizing time cuts into our creative time. And then reason number five is it's cheaper not to have a stash. They get us with stuff like coupons, sales, limited edition. And you guys, I'm raising my hand because I was there too. Like I used to get suckered in, right? I'm like, oh, this sale's so good. Oh, this pack has 2 limited edition colors. Oh my gosh, they're coming out with a new thing. I've got to get all the new stuff, right? And they suck us in. Or, oh, there's just doorbusters. Like we're getting into right now, it's summer. We're getting into fall. There's going to be Black Friday. They're going to want you to buy a whole bunch of crap that you don't need and that you're not going to use. So here's why I say it's cheaper not to. One, on the front end, right? I tend, as I've been doing this myself, I buy less. Okay, so I go in the store and I'm like, I'm going to do this project. I think the colors of paint I'm going to use is like turquoise and yellow and like a burnt umber. Cool. I only need to buy those 3 colors, right? The craft store and the craft industry, they want us to be like, no, you need the rainbow pack because what if this and what if that? And like, I'm like, cool. You keep your what ifs, store. I'm going to keep the money. And so I only buy what I need. But here's what I found over time. And I've been in this industry 20 years. I've been crafting my entire life. I did my first craft fair 36 years ago when I was 9 years old. So I've been doing this a long, long time. And one thing I noticed is that I would buy all that stash and then I wouldn't get around to using it because I just had so much. And I'd go open that paint and it's all separated and it's goopy and it's ruined. Or I'd open a marker and it's dry. And I'm like, oh, that marker costs like $4. I'd go to use my scrapbook paper and half of it's faded because the sun was on it and it was sitting there, or it's covered in dust. The same with fabric. If fabric was out at all and sunlight got on it, it's now covered with it's faded. I know some of my grandma's stuff smelled like mothballs because keeping it in tubs, it just kind of sealed in a weird smell and she didn't want bugs to get in there. So it smelled like mothballs, like really bad. I couldn't even wash it enough to get the mothball smell out on some of those pieces of fabric. Um, and so we end up actually, we think on the front end, oh, we're saving money because we bought the whole rainbow pack or we bought it on sale or we used a coupon. But what happens is we're actually losing money because if we can't use it up before it goes bad, and all those things do go bad over time, then we're throwing it all away, right? And we could have saved time organizing by not getting it in the first place and a lot of money. And I know this is important to a lot of us right now because right now is a time that, we're looking at like, how could I save some money? How could I make more money? How could I save money on craft supplies? Like we're not going to give up crafting. We love crafting, right? So, but we're also trying to be more conscious and aware and be a better steward with our money. So, I'm going to give you a real quick recap of the 5 reasons you don't need a craft stash anymore. One is that we've created a storage industry, right? They are training us, right? The retailers, the stores, whatever, are training us to believe first you need to buy all this stuff and then you need to buy all this storage to store all the stuff. Okay, so we don't need to be subsidizing and creating that industry. Number 2, we can let the stores, the retailers, whoever we're buying it from, we can let them be the warehouse for it, right? And then let them store it and manage it and handle it until we're ready to buy it, whether we shop online or we go into a store and get it. So like I know for me, if I wanted to go to Joann's, I need to drive 2 hours, 2.5 hours to Flagstaff or 3.5 hours to Tempe because I live in really rural Arizona. But that's okay because I can just order it online. It'll be here in 2 days. All right. So reason number 3 is we usually have more than we can use. And what ends up is we either end up getting rid of it and, for less than we paid for it, or we end up giving it away, or we pass away, like in the case of my grandma, and we give it to our family, and they're just never going to treat it the same way that we did. And so, if we think about like how much we have, could we actually use it in our lifetime? Probably not. So we don't need to get more. Number 4 is that if you have all this stuff, you have to spend time organizing it. We only have 24 hours in the day. So if we're going to take time to organize our craft supplies, we're taking that time away from actually creating and doing the thing that we really love. And then number 5 is it's cheaper not to have a stash. One, you save money on the front end by not buying stuff that you're not going to use right now. And you save money on the back end because a lot of stuff goes bad, right? Rubber stamps fall off the mount, ink pads and markers dry out, paint separates and becomes super gross. Even glitter, you guys, I've seen glitter oxidize and change and turn weird colors when it's been sitting in storage for a long time, right? I've seen like buttons get like grime on them. Like I've been doing this long enough that I've seen a lot of issues with that stuff. So those are my 5 reasons why you don't need a craft stash. If you want to look for, or if you want more ideas of how to organize, maybe you're like, you know what, I get it. I don't want a craft stash, but I have one and I'd like to purge some of those things. Come join my free Facebook group. It's facebook.com. I believe it's /organize my crafts, but I'm going to go check it out. Yep. Oh, facebook.com/groups/craft organize. I'm going to drop it here in this comments, which should be saved. And then I'm also going to put it down in the description for you guys. All right. So thank you guys for watching this. I really appreciate it. I was hoping I would be a little faster than I was. But I hope that this was helpful for you and that you found this video useful. All right. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you around on the interwebs.